So we chose this location for a number of reasons. Obviously because this is a recreation center, and as you can see, it is broad-based, it is in the park, it's in an area actually that I used to live in, and my good friend State Rep still lives in, and a number of us were from this community. But more importantly, this is a place where children and adults and families should be able to be safe. Yesterday, around 5:30, the mayor, myself, Deputy Commissioner for Recreation, I think he's here, we attended a rebuild initiative, the first one out of the gate in the Fishtown community. And there were literally hundreds and hundreds of people at that opening. And it was an awesome scene. Families, children, everybody, people were having a good time. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. But you shouldn't have to be concerned about your life, your safety, you being assaulted, or some other negative activity that we've witnessed in the city of Philadelphia. So today, with my good friends and colleagues, and you'll hear from them shortly, we will be announcing the Safe Haven Law Press Conference. I'm going to get this out of here. I'm a little taller than this thing here. I know. So the bottom line is that, you know, some may ask that, well, didn't City Council do this before? And yes, City Council did a series of gun bills in past years because of the frustration and our inability to get enabling legislation from the state. NRA challenges, went to court, all the things that we needed to do, but we were not successful. But now we're experiencing something a little different because we are basically, in some sense, a state of emergency as it relates to safety in our communities, and particularly safety at our recreation centers, what we call safe havens. So it's clearly time for us to do something, and we're prepared to step to the plate and do something today. We looked at a number of issues to say, well, why do you think you're going to be successful? Well, first of all, this time we have my good friend, Senator Hughes, we have my good friend, State Representative Bullock, and we have, my good friend, Rep. Harrell, and one of my 16 bosses, Councilwoman Cindy Bass. And behind us, we have those individuals who are out here on a daily basis handling business. Shondell, all of those folks, good captain, deputy commissioner, all the folks that have done what we need to do. But what we have is the ability, and we're going to do this, I guess, in September. We'll be introducing legislation across the board to move the needle. And we think we have a very good case. The simple reality is there have been a couple of statutes. Some of you may not believe. The U.S. Supreme Court, Justice Scalia, the late Justice Scalia, right, was not necessarily a friend of, as they call us, the liberal, democratic, progressive left, as it relates to guns and every other thing. But in an opinion, with Washington, they ruled, and he stated, the right secured by the Second Amendment is not unlimited, and nothing in the court's ruling should cast doubt on laws forbidding the carrying of firearms into sensitive places such as schools and government buildings. There can be nothing more sensitive than this, right? So today, we will be introducing legislation. We'll be announcing the introduction of this legislation to ensure that we have a safe and secure environment. Real quick, I'll give you a couple of state stats, and I'm going to turn it over to my good friends and colleagues. June 14th, the most recent, we all remember this, 6 people shot, 1 fatally at Finnegan Playground, Southwest Philadelphia. July 13th, 2019, several people wounded by gunfire at the Baker Playground out there in the Senators District, right? People just there, you know, enjoying themselves, enjoying their family. In very specific terms, there were 18 gun crimes committed on or at city recreation centers last year. There were 526 crimes committed at city rec centers in 2018. That is off the chart. So it is clearly time for us to move the needle. And I want to say, with your support and with these fine people here, we're going to move the needle. And I think that we can definitely make the case that we will be successful in this endeavor to make sure that we create a safe haven at our rec centers and parks in the city of Philadelphia. Right now, I'd like to turn it over to my good friend and colleague, State Representative Donna Bullock will pass the mic.
Thank you, Council President. I'm actually short enough for this, so I'm going to use that. Free up my hands. Council President mentioned 7 wounded during a basketball game at Baker Playground, Overbrook Section, Philadelphia, July 2019. A 24-year-old man killed, 5 other young people wounded after gunfire erupts at a graduation party, Finnegan Playground, Southwest Philadelphia, Father's Day, June 2019. 23-year-old shot several times at the Charlie Batch Playground in Homestead, Allegheny County in June 2019. A man shot near a playground in Hazleton, May 2019. 2 shot in a parking lot of a playground in Bristol Township, Bucks County, March 2019. A woman wounded, shot during attempted robbery, West Mill Creek Playground, West Philadelphia, December 2018. 17-year-old wounded, his 17-year-old friend killed, 12th and Cambria Playground, North Philadelphia, August 2018. 17-year-old shot dead at a playground, Swissvale, Allegheny County, May 2017. Man shot in a playground, Newcastle, Lawrence County, July 2016. 15-year-old shot in the head at a playground, Freemansburg, Northampton County, August 2015. Man shot and killed in Finnegan's Playground, Southwest Philadelphia, July 2015. 6-year-old shot in the chest by a 16-year-old in a basketball court, Brownsville, Fayette County, November 2013. 33-year-old man shot in Botex Playground, Lebanon County, February 2013. Teenager killed, Stevens Playground, Allentown, Lehigh County, March 2012. 2 children wounded, ages 12 and 15, at Sachs Playground in South Philadelphia, March 2012. 18-year-old shoots and kills a 30-year-old father who came to defend his son after a playground fight. His 15-year-old daughter was also shot in the leg, and 2 girls, ages 10 and 6, were shot in the face and wounded. Mander Recreation Center, right here in Strawberry Mansion in Philadelphia, June 2011. These incidents occurred in city playgrounds all across our Commonwealth, during basketball games, during barbecues, in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the twilight hours of the night, in the summer, in the winter. These incidents occurred in places where parents thought their children were safe, where elders were sitting enjoying a summer breeze, and unfortunately where youth witnessed traumatic and violent loss of life, and in the process lost their own innocence. Youth like the very children playing behind us, 2 of them that belong to me. These incidents are why I and my colleagues in the city of Philadelphia and here in Harrisburg will explore all the ways to reduce gun violence here in the Commonwealth, why I join and co-chair the PA Safe Caucus, why I serve on the Governor's School Safety and Security Committee, why my colleague Rep. Mavita Johnson-Harrell never, ever stops looking for solutions, and held a policy hearing yesterday where several dozen representatives from across the Commonwealth attended to hear why gun violence is a public health issue, and why we are considering companion legislation to Councilman Clark's legislation to prohibit firearms in city-owned recreation centers and playgrounds. These are public spaces. They should be safe places. They should be as safe as any courtroom in this state. In Pennsylvania, we know that this is no small feat. We will have to work across the aisle up the aisle, down the aisle, across the state, and everywhere and in every corner to garner support for this legislation. But for our children, it is worth it. For their safety, it is worth it. For my boys, it is worth it. For your children, your daughters, your granddaughters, your nieces, your nephews, it is worth it. Their safety is worth fighting for, and I am up to the task. I am up to putting all of my energy and resources into this legislation so that places like this can truly be a safe haven. So that the next time I come before you, I'll be talking about the baseball team that won the championship, the charity basketball game, the Double Dutch competition, the farmers market, the community festival, the family reunion, the girl who learned to play lacrosse, the boy who made a friend at Finnegan Playground, at Happy Hollow Playground, in the playground in Erie County, in the recreation center at Fayette County, and right here at Mander Recreation Center. I thank Council President Darrell Clark for his leadership. I thank all of our council members present today, including Councilwoman Bass, for your advocacy, my state colleagues and mentors and friends, Senator Street, Senator Hughes, as well as Haywood and Williams, who have been advocates and leaders on this issue, my fellow representatives, particularly new to the House but not new to the issue, Representative Marita Johnson-Harrell, and all the members of the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus and PA Safe Caucus who have decided that reducing gun violence, that making sure our children are safe is a priority here in Pennsylvania. And for those reasons, we're going to do everything we can, Senator, everything we can to make sure our children are safe here at Mander and across the Commonwealth. Thank you. That being said, I know I can't do this alone. And I mentioned his name several times because he's the man to get the job done in Harrisburg. And we look to him for his leadership often. My senator, our senator, Senator Vincent Hughes.
Thank you, Representative. And thank you, Council President, for your leadership, and to all my colleagues in the city and the state who are here. As Representative Bullock was speaking, I kind of asked myself and asked all of us to kind of just be quiet for a minute and listen to the children laughing, to a squeaky swing making a summertime noise, as squeaky swings do, as children splashing around in the swimming pool, as we wait for the after-work hours to descend upon us and folks, adults, moms, dads, gather at one of the city's finest playgrounds and recreation facilities that not is just here at the corner, but extends far back and far deep for tennis courts, and basketball courts, and not too far away from here, one of the finest music centers in the country, the Dell. And I ask that we think about those spaces at this moment, and think about those sounds that we hear. And if we don't control the violence, we don't control the guns, we won't hear those sounds. We won't hear the laughter of children, Donna's kids, our grandchildren, our nieces, nephews. We won't hear that laughter because they won't be deemed safe places. And no one will want to take their child to an unsafe place. The ask is simple. It's not complicated. It's very simple. Protect these places for children and for our communities. So it's not complicated. It's a very, when you think about it, it's a very simple ask. Keep these places free and clear of guns. Let the children play. Let the children laugh. Let families enjoy themselves. It's a difficult environment that we live in. Times are tough. We're all one $400 paycheck away from falling into deep financial crisis. That's not Senator Hughes making it up. That's national research. So these spaces that we have in our community that are city facilities, city-owned, maybe sometimes with a little help with this from the state. You're welcome. But city-owned facilities established in the public consciousness, the public will, to create spaces in our community that are supposed to be safe and free and open to receive the laughter and the love and the enjoyment of our communities, especially our children. Keep them safe. Representative Bullock mentioned Baker. I was out there this Sunday morning at about 9 o'clock in the morning when no one was around. I'm walking the place and walking the space. The only person around, Councilwoman Bass, was the young lady employed, city employee, Mr. President, cleaning up on a Sunday morning at 9:30 in the morning in about 90 degrees worth of heat that early. Just cleaning it up, getting it ready so that hopefully the next time they want to have a community enjoyment, a party, a celebration, what have you, that it could be positioned there. That's going through the carnage and the hell that occurred less than 12 hours earlier at Baker, the night before. That's not what our communities are supposed to be like. They're supposed to be safe spaces. The council president is asking for safe spaces, happy spaces, spaces for enjoyment that are owned by the people. These are owned by the people, by the public, determined by public will to be safe places for enjoyment. We will do all that we can, Mr. President. We created a $60 million fund for school and community anti-violence initiatives that Representative Bullock happens to get a chance to figure out who gets the money. We like that, Representative Bullock. And no one thought we could do that, but we did it. And we'll find every opportunity to try to make this happen. All we're looking for is places so that the children can laugh and enjoy themselves, so that families can breathe again, can take deep, purposeful, happy breaths of life and enjoy themselves and enjoy their community. We thank you for your leadership. We are committed. And you know, I'm the appropriations chairman, and I'll just look at this from a fiscal side. I saw the news, you were down at Fishtown and cutting the ribbon and all of that, and that's a good thing. And I know that the city is spending millions of dollars building facilities like that, investing in facilities like that all across the city of Philadelphia. It would be a damn shame if we spent all of that money, all of that investment in these facilities, but people didn't feel safe enough to use them. People didn't feel safe enough to use them in spite of the investment. We can't have that. We can't have that. We will make this happen, Mr. President, any way we can. Thank you, sir. Okay. Without any further ado, she knows a little bit about North Philadelphia. Our city councilwoman, Cindy Bass. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Senator. I'm gonna grab this one. Take it out. I'm not as short as Donna. Rip it out, rip it out. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here. I want to thank the council president, first of all, for including me in this very important moment here in the city of Philadelphia, because this is going to go a long way, I believe, in terms of reducing gun violence, not just in our recreation centers, playgrounds, and parks, but across the board. I think that this is going to send a message that the conduct that seems to be increasing is absolutely unacceptable. So the first thing I want to do is say thank you so much, Mr. President, for the hard work that you've done and the ordinance that we're going to be bringing forward, the bill that we're going to be bringing forward. Also to our state legislators, Representative Bullock, Senator Hughes, and of course our newest member, Movita. We want to thank them for all of their hard work. The companion piece, which is equally as important, that's going to be introduced in Harrisburg. So we want to thank you for the hard work and the hard road ahead to get these sort of measures passed in Harrisburg. It should be a no-brainer. It should not be difficult at all, but we already know what we're working with out of Harrisburg. So we, listen, we stand with you. We stand with you, ready to fight. And all of the folks behind us, I want to shout them out, because these are the community activists. When we go back to doing the thousands of things that we're doing on a given day, these are the folks who are on the ground, who are fighting gun violence in our neighborhoods day in and day out, with the Philadelphia Police Department, with the District Attorney's Office, with so many others. And so we all owe a great debt of gratitude to all of them for the work that they've done. We, in 2013, we actually did an initiative out of City Council in which we had agreed that all district members of council were going to put money in to ensure that all playgrounds and recreation centers and some parks had camera systems. And so we are in the process now of closing the loophole in which there are a few remaining centers that do not have cameras. So we're going to close that loop and make sure every center here in the city of Philadelphia has cameras. The council president was highly supportive of that initiative, and I believe was the first one on board when we asked if he would get on board and support. So thank you again so much for your leadership on that. So we're going to make sure that that loophole is closed. But beyond that, we know that cameras, although they can be a deterrent, many cases we find that they are used after the fact. And we want to stop the action before it actually happens. We want to deter crime. So we would rather not have to use the cameras at all if possible. And so again, I just want to say thank you so much for this proactive approach and proactive action so that we can get in front of gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia and in our playgrounds, recreation centers, and parks. So thank you, and God bless to everyone for being here today. Thank you. And now, the newest member of the Philadelphia delegation, I do believe the newest member, correct? All right. Still the newest member, or the newest member here, State Representative Movita Johnson-Hall. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first and foremost, I want to thank God that we're all out here and that we're able to participate in these initiatives. I want to thank Council President Darrell Clark for being in front of this and leading this legislation to keep our children safe. I want to thank my sister rep, Donna Bullock, who will be creating companion legislation that I have agreed to co-prime, to co-sponsor, to make sure that we are pushing this as far as we can get it through the House, which can be difficult because it's a Republican led House. All of my colleagues who are here and all of our grassroots community partners, the Office of Violence Prevention, Shondell Ravel, and our police who are on the front line every single day fighting for our children. I want to thank you all for being out here. So I'm going to keep this very brief. Everybody knows this is my issue. I wake up every day trying to figure out how I can keep our children from dying. This legislation is so critical to Philadelphia. Our state representative read off the list of people who have been shot and died in rec centers across Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth. This is absolutely absurd. We have to make sure that we are pushing these issues. I want to thank my state representative, Vincent Hughes, who has been on the front line of this issue for many, many years, who has created legislation for sensible gun reform in the Commonwealth and has been pushing the bar on this issue. So what I want to say is that no one's Second Amendment rights or no illegal guns should have rights over our children's constitutional rights. All of our children have a constitutional right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They are being robbed of their innocence. They are being robbed of their childhood by the gun violence that's occurring on our streets every day. They live in war zones. They can't even come to their local rec center to laugh and play and get in the pool. Well, we're going to do everything. You see everybody standing behind you? We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that our children have safe places. Thank you.
All right. Now that's what's different. You know, we're going to, you know, the fact that we're standing here having a debate about whether or not we should be able to do this is like bizarre. I mean, it's like bizarre, right? I'm like, the rep read across the board, Rep, and I know you like, you know, you got skill sets. You're always going to bring more to the table than outside than the city of Philadelphia. You did your research. The fact that this is happening in counties where they're probably controlled by Republicans, right? This violence doesn't know what party a person belongs to. They don't care, right? A bullet will hit who it is aimed at, and sometimes, unfortunately, who it is not aimed at. It's not going to ask your party affiliation, right? So, Rep, my boss, Senator, I want to thank you all so much to be here today. I mean, to the crew, I don't even say my crew because I adopt you all, you know, Rev, you know, Terry, B, with Shondell, oh, man, everybody here today. Thank you all so much because you guys are out here handling business every day. So it's time for us as legislators to do what we need to do to make your job a little easier. You know, Captain, Commissioner, thank you all. Thank you guys so much for your daily thing. So we're going to push this. We know we'll get some pushback, but at the end of the day, we think we will prevail because we have made and will make a great case to do this. The statistics don't lie. The issues don't lie. Unfortunately, the 6 o'clock news doesn't lie. When you see all of this mindless violence that's happening on our streets, particularly in our rec center. So I want to thank everybody here today. Thank all of you, and God bless our children that are here, that we got to figure out a way to make it safe. Right now, we're prepared to take any questions.
What chances to stand against the state's preemption law?
Well, you know what? If we don't do it, it's a zero chance. And these legislators, we approach it as a glass half full. And I've known these folks for a lot of years. And the fact that there has been pushback in the past has never stopped us from continuing to push. I can't tell a child, well, you know what, we're not going to try because the NRA and the state might push back. So we're going to do what we need to do. All right. Yes, sir.
Going on that, has anything changed from 2013, the last time this tried to be passed?
Yeah, the last time we didn't have state companion legislation. So we basically, the city of Philadelphia, you know, we sometimes don't necessarily care about what the state law says, and we just push ahead. I mean, you know, we sued the General Assembly. We sued Ed Rendell when he was the governor, right? So I mean, we do what we have to do because we're locally based, and you know, we're here every day, and sometimes we get frustrated. Our state legislators get frustrated with the challenges they have, but I think it's a little different environment. We do have a governor that is clear that this governor will be on board with this, and we are closing ranks both in the House and the Senate. And the simple reality is this is a bipartisan issue. This is not about Democrats and Republicans. So I think this issue around children, this issue around creating safe havens for kids will create a little different environment. Guys, you want to answer that, state people?
Just to add, you know, we are obligated to force the issue. We're obligated to press the issue. We had a spate of shootings across the Commonwealth, which led to the creation of the School and Community Anti-Violence Initiative, $60 million. In 2 years, we spent over $120 million over $120 million investing in communities all across the state around the issues of anti-violence. We just had a 57% increase, another $2.5 million for the Gun Violence Task Force. All of that came as a result of pressure. The Attorney General was very welcome to get that extra $2.5 million, Mr. President. Josh Shapiro was very happy to get that extra money. It all came as a result of pressure. It all came out as a result of really, quite frankly, righteous indignation and stating some very basic facts that these things must happen to deal with the issue of violence in our community. So, as the Council President said, we're not bashful. All right, we are from Philadelphia. We're not bashful. We're not shy. We're doing what it is that reflects the realities and needs of our constituents, and we'll deal with the other stuff when it comes along.
Senator Hughes, and Rep. Bullock, have either of you spoken to any of your Republican colleagues to gauge where they stand on this legislation?
I have not as of yet.
Not yet. We just started drafting the legislation, but I definitely plan on speaking to some of them. I will tell you that as gun violence incidents occur across this Commonwealth, we are hearing more from our colleagues on both sides of the aisle that they're concerned about gun violence in their own communities. From the Tree of Life incident last year, there was an incident in Allentown, I think a few weeks ago as well. I mean, gun violence is not just isolated in Philadelphia. So we are hearing from them, and the interest even on the School Safety and Security Task Force to hear from colleagues on both sides of the aisle saying they want to keep children safe. I think they're open to this conversation. I'm looking forward to it. So the city of Philadelphia is introducing legislation to prohibit firearms here, in city-owned recreation centers. We are looking, and we're still researching to see what that looks like in a companion bill at the state level, and what we're thinking is to allow first enabling legislation for Philadelphia to do just that, and then we can take it from there.
And Pat, real quick. Real quick. Right now, the state statute authorizes a prohibition on any weapons in courthouses, or buildings that have courthouses, i.e. City Hall. And the reason is they say, well, there might be volatile situations. People come to court. You never know what might happen. And prior to now, we didn't think that would be the type of environment that we now have our rec centers. So we're simply saying, you want to protect people that are in courthouses because of the volatile nature of what's happening or potentially may happen in courthouses. Guess what? We need to do the same thing in rec centers because what's happening in our rec centers and our parks in the city of Philadelphia. So, wait, this gentleman.
So you tried this in 2013, nothing happened. If you try it this time around, nothing happens. What is the city's plan to ensure that these rec centers and parks are safe if the state doesn't do anything about it?
We will do whatever it takes to get some relief on gun violence. The simple reality is that the state of Pennsylvania is currently the place of choice for people to get illegal weapons because of these laws prohibiting the limitations of weapons. You literally can go to a gun show and buy 150 guns, and all you have to do is show a Pennsylvania driver's license. That is ridiculous. I told a story the other day. Myself, Councilman Jones, Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, a former member of the ATF, former agent, went to a gun show. They were selling machine guns that had a little clip that made it semi-automatic. They were selling weapons that were basically flamethrowers, shotguns that allow flames to come out of them. What in the hell do you need that for to shoot a deer? It's like ridiculous what's going on in this state. So we're pushing, we're going to take step by step, I'm going to believe that we're going to get this because as the rep said and the senator said, that the simple reality is this is a statewide issue. I'm very optimistic about our opportunity.
Now, you mentioned courthouses.
Yes.
Armed deputy sheriffs enforce the state law to keep guns out of courthouses.
Mm-hmm.
How would you even enforce this if it became a law to keep guns out of parks?
We're going to enforce it. We're going to enforce it the same way that we enforce City Hall, right? Because right now, because there are courthouses in City Hall, that there's a prohibition on taking a weapon in City Hall, right? We have at the front, we have the public entrance. We have metal detectors. We have some of the other things. And Lord knows, I don't want to have metal detectors at a rec center because that sends the wrong signal. But the simple reality is, is that we need to give these individuals and these individuals some ability to monitor and to have something to fall back on as we try to keep people from around rec center. The first thing we want to do is get the bill passed, and then we'll work with the implementation, right? Cart before the horse, or whatever that saying is. But full force, as you heard, these legislators and these strong community advocates and these people here and these children, if they got a chance to be at the mic, we got to create a safe environment for them, right? Full steam ahead.
Any other questions?
I have one. I do. I just want to follow up.
Sure.
You know, most people who shoot up parks or any place don't have permits to carry. So they don't care about.
You know what? That's actually not true. That's true to a sense in terms of most persons. But if one person who has a permit to carry, right, decides that for whatever reason they want to shoot somebody, then we need to deal with that. The bottom line is you got to create a safe environment around the rec centers and the perimeter of rec centers. Too many people have weapons. When you look at the statistics in New York, you know why the city of New York has such a low number, separate and aside from the policing and the video surveillance, because of the laws they have governing the purchase and the carrying of weapons,
Low number of what?
of homicides. So look at New York. Just take time, do your research, and look at New York and see what New York is allowed to do.
Is there a law in New York State that prohibits guns in parks?
There's a law in New York State that allows the municipality to have certain gun legislation that has created the low level of violence in the city of New York. We're simply asking for the same.
Any other cities that have such legislation?
And well, I can send you the list. It's quite a few.
We'll get back to you.
All right?
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, and thank you all so much. Appreciate it. We want to get this done.